Hello guys, so today we are going to do a houseplant video. This is the one I was waiting on to dry out to put her in her new setup. I put her in this ugly black pot back in March of this year, 2021, and I've never liked this pot. It's just ugly. And I can't find a decorative pot that I like for it to sit in because they're either too short or they're too tall or it just doesn't match my color scheme or I'm not willing to pay the price. I have decided I am going to repot her and put her in this clay pot that will match the pots that she's kind of around now. And I believe I have been able to identify her. I believe she is the Dracaena Marginata. I'm just gonna pull her in a little bit closer, so if anybody can correct me on that, that'd be great, but she does have dark green leaves with a red tinge to the edge. Currently, she is in soil and perlite, and I think I added bark chips in there. I cannot remember. I do have some rock on the top, and I think I probably have her in there too deep as well, because if I move some of the soil around, you can see where she's starting to kind of grow here. Like she's done a lot of growing here because she was flush with the rock, but she's put on quite a bit of leaf growth as well. I currently have her sitting in the middle of the living room in front of the east-facing window, so she doesn't get a lot of direct light, but she does get a lot of light. I have also discovered that they are poisonous to animals. Not poisonous to humans, but poisonous to animals. Like I said, I just want to get her out of here, kind of see what's going on with her. Get her out of this ugly pot and put her in something a little prettier that, because I do grow in my living room, so I do want it to be aesthetically pleasing as well. They do prefer bright light, no direct sunlight. I also think she's staying too wet in this pot because they don't like to stay wet. And I watered her at the beginning of last month, and this soil, it's not wet, but it's still really moist. So I think putting her in that clay pot will help as far as releasing some of the moisture as well, where it's not so tight. And I'm just gonna take most of this soil off of the root ball here, and then bear with me here. And what I'm gonna do in just a few moments is I will move the camera down so we can kind of look at her roots and see what else is going on and when I repot her. She's got some roots that are nice and thick, and then she's got a few that are kind of spindly, but I think, like I said, once I put her in, and I think that pot was a little too tall as well, and maybe that's why the soil was just staying moist too long. Let me just move the camera down a little bit. Like I said, just a really quick repot and kind of an update on the girl. She's doing really well. I do need to clean her leaves. And what I use for all of my plants once a month is I use tap water with a splash of isopropyl alcohol and just wipe all of the leaves down really well. And this way, if there are any bugaboos on there, hopefully it's getting them off. These are prone to spider mites from what I have researched. Definitely don't want to try to get spider mites in my living room because I do have a large orchid collection for me. There are people who have 3 times the orchids that I have, but to me it's a large collection. And even if it was just 1 or 2, you still don't want spider mites for your orchids because it can take it down, as well as your house plants. I've already put some rock, few pieces of large rock down at the bottom, again to help with the drainage. The mix I'm putting her in now, so this here that I took her out of was soil and some perlite. I don't think I put a lot of perlite in there, you can barely see it. Let me just show you real quick. As you can see, it's mainly soil. You can see a couple of pieces of perlite. They really do like well draining soil, so what I have mixed up here is regular potting soil. It's Miracle Grow, no affiliation. Some small bark chips, as well as about 30%, 40% of perlite. I'm just gonna pour some of this into the bottom here just to get it between those rocks and stuff so she doesn't settle in. And I think these roots are gonna fit better in here. Plus, I can have her sit up a little bit above the pot to kind of give her that stalk look. Whereas, like I said before, I think she was just a little too low. So we'll put her about like that. And I did bring my Fiskars because I thought maybe I might have to cut some some scissors, cut some of the roots, but apparently her roots are still doing well. And I do have, before I forget, let me open this, because I will put some slow release fertilizer in the pot as well. I did not do that in the initial repot. Yeah, I think this is gonna work a lot better because her roots still have room to go down, because her roots sit about right here right now, and her roots do have room to go down as well as expand in the pot without being wet all the time. So hopefully that will encourage her to grow. And they are slow growers, I mean, I get that, but I just feel like she was just staying wet too long. I don't have any leaf dieback. I don't have any yellowing leaves because I do use distilled water. If you use tap water, be sure to check it, because if it is high in chemicals to make it nice and clean, it can cause the tips of your Dracaena, regardless of the type that you have, to yellow and brown. So if you see that, it's probably your water. There's nothing wrong with the plant itself. It's just too much chemical is in the water, and so you'll want to switch that out. I use distilled water on all of my orchids as well as the majority of my houseplants. There are some houseplants that I use my tap water on. I have fairly good tap water. I have a filtration system in the home. It's not a RO system. It's just a general water filtration that I have in my home for the whole house. But most of my plants, all of my orchids, but most of my house plants get watered with distilled water as well. So unless you live in an area where you don't keep chemicals in your tap water, then I would recommend using distilled water for your Dracaena, because like I said, they do absorb those chemicals, and over time it'll get to the end of the leaf and then you'll get brown or yellow leaf tip dieback. When you see that, that's the indicator, is just change your water. It's an easy fix. Let me get her in the center a little bit better. Also, if you do have that leaf tip dieback and you go to cut your leaves, a lot of people just cut your leaves straight across, but if you just follow the angle of the leaf and you can just make a natural point cut, no one will ever know that you cut that leaf off. I do that with my Oncidium orchids as well, to kind of keep that natural flow, so you can't really tell that there was a leaf that was cut off on there. So, and all I'm doing is I'm just taking my finger and I'm moving the soil so that it falls all in between those really tiny roots that are in there. And as you can see, she's getting steadier and steadier in the pot. I thought maybe I might have to stake her as well, because I was bringing her up a little bit, but I think she'll be fine once I get the soil all settled in here. Temperature wise, they prefer, really, if you are comfortable, they're comfortable, sort of like that rule with Phalaenopsis. Obviously they don't like extreme heat. The one thing they do not appreciate is cold. So wherever you set your Dracaena in your home, just make sure that it's not near a vent that gets cold or hot air blown on it, but especially the cold air. They do not appreciate cool air on them at all. So again, if you buy it in the winter time, cover it with a bag. What I do when I buy plants in the winter time, I do put them in a bag, and then I put a bag over the bag, and then I'll put a bag over the top, a little anal like that. But it does protect them from the cold. Also, if you purchase your Dracaena and it is quite windy, I would also just protect it from the wind. They're not finicky plants. They're slow growers. They are known to grow up to, I think, like 10 or 12 feet in the wild. However, in our home, if you keep them in control, they'll grow to about 6 feet. A lot of people do use them as accent plants in their home. They were also used, I believe, in the NASA experiment for air quality, but they will absorb chemicals in your home air. From what I've researched, hopefully we don't have chemicals in our home air, but whatever they are in there, I guess this one will soak it up. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to add the slow release fertilizer. So you do want to add your slow release fertilizer about a 1/4 of an inch below the soil, so that each time you water, it will release some of that fertilizer into your plant. You don't want to really put it at the bottom where the roots are, because you do have that potential for root burn, and that is never a good thing. So I just added about 5 little pebbles on either side, and I think that'll be enough for her now. So I will wipe her down and put her in her new little, her new little spot. She's gone in her old spot, but she's gonna look so much better with the rest of her friends. But there she is, all potted up. Doesn't she look so much better in this pot than she did in that ugly black pot? This is just so much prettier. And like I said, with the clay pot, because it is unglazed, the air will flow through and it'll help the media dry out a little bit quicker, but not too quick. With the new quick draining as well, I think that'll help. She is still a little wobbly, not coming out, but I think I am going to stake her for about a month until those roots reestablish into this pot, and then I'll just take the stake out. I hope you guys enjoyed this update on my Dracaena, and like I said, I have identified her as the Marginata. If you know what this one is and it's not the Marginata, please leave it in the comments down below. I'd appreciate a thumbs up if you did enjoy the video, and we will see you on the next one.